Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network channel. I am, as always, your host, AR, the Ohio Patriot. So, for today's episode, we're going to talk about the Big Backhoe game. What do I mean by the Big Backhoe game? Well, it's, a phrase I like to use off and on for different things. Basically, what it refers to is when you have to use self-defense and there's a big backhoe involved is what it is. But nah, for real though. So basically it's just people unfortunately get in situations where they're going to get themselves killed, or they'll get others killed and stuff like that is what it'll usually be. And so we have two stories we're going to talk about today, one from Florida and one from overseas. We're going to start with the one from overseas, actually, because it has to do with the current proxy war that we're seeing in fucking Ukraine and Russia and stuff like that. And really, this shows the ignorance of older people, and that they really don't give a shit about the younger people is what it is, dude. That they really don't give a fuck if young people go off to die in war is what it is, man. And it's a bunch of bullshit entirely, because I guarantee if these motherfuckers, these older Britons, were conscripted themselves, or drafted, or whatever you want to call it there, they'd be like, oh fuck no, we're not gonna go fight in some fucking proxy war to go fucking help Ukraine, or fucking try to defeat Russia, whatever it is, dude. But yeah, so the first story of the day is new poll: older Britons back UK role in Ukraine much stronger than military aged Britons. Says polling suggests that only a minority of young military-age Britons support their country's role in the Russian-Ukraine war, while a huge majority of much older motherfuckers are in favor of it. Of course they are, dude, because again, they don't have to fight over in it. If you had some 60, 70, 80-year-old fucking man, or woman for that matter, being like, here's a gun, old bitch, immediately. Sorry, trying to make sure that my audio is coming in right now because my signal's messing up right now. Let me stop screen sharing first. Okay, there it goes. But yeah, I guarantee if you had a bunch of old motherfuckers in their 60s, 70s, and 80s and stuff like that, or older even, dude, 50s even, that were like, well, I guess 50's not that old. It's like, Gen X, but whatever. But yeah, like 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever. If they're like, okay, old motherfucker, here's a gun. You better know how to shoot because you're about to be drafted and shit. Yeah, they'd be like, no, fuck that, dude. They wouldn't support that shit at all, is what it is. And nor should anybody for that matter, because we shouldn't be fighting goddamn proxy wars for other fucking countries, dude. Fuck everybody involved in this whole thing, dude, for real. I've said it from the start, fuck Russia, and especially fuck Ukraine, dude. They're one of the most corrupt fucking countries on earth right now when it comes to basically doing backdoor shady ass fucking deals for Biden and company, dude. It's exactly why all these elitist motherfuckers like Biden and Pelosi and shit like that were going to flee over there if shit ever went south here in America. But anyway, it said research carried out by IPOS for the Times found that only 45% of people aged 16 to 34 support the British government's current role in Ukraine, arming and training Ukrainian forces, often on British soil, and engaging in a sanctions war with Russia, compared to 80% of people age 55 to 75. Yeah, I guarantee if those 55 to 75-year-olds were like, okay, you're about to be drafted into this motherfucker, dude, like, they'd be like, no, we're good. So this is not to say that 65% of young Britons are actually opposed to the government's actions. That figure stands at about 15%, with 32% of the cohort neither supporting nor opposing, and 8% having failed to form an opinion. So essentially what they're saying is, where was it at now? Yeah, 32% are like, I don't care either way, and 8% are like, yeah, I don't fucking know, dude. Basically. And anyways, the proportion of people opposed to British involvement is also about 15% among those ages 35 to 54, although those with a neutral stance are far fewer at 16%, and those with a supportive stance are more numerous at 63%. So across the population as a whole, 62% of those polled were supportive, 18% were neutral, and 14% were opposed, 6% were unsure of anything. So conservative voters were much more supportive than Labor voters at 75%, but the proportion of supportive Labor voters was still high at 62%. I'm not sure exactly which party is which over there, because I almost think the conservative parties like Democrats and the Labor parties like Republicans or something. So I'm not sure about that, dude. I'm not 100% on that. But anyway, yeah, it's just ridiculous either way. Said support is particularly high among older people and conservative supporters, but most Labour voters also support Britain's current role too, commented the head of politics research and public affairs for that findings. Said opposition is low among all groups, although young people are more likely to be neutral. This is not completely unusual and partly reflects the higher proportion given to defense by older people. Said although it may also reflect young people being more concerned about being personally dragged into a general war, or the fact that they tend to be more likely to access non-mainstream sources of information and opinion on current affairs online than older people. So basically what they're saying is the young people actually know what the fuck they're talking about and don't believe some bullshit fucking mainstream media source. Whereas the old motherfuckers are like, let me flip on CNN and MSNBC and whatever the fuck version of that is over there in the UK, like BBC or some shit, dude. They're all a bunch of fucking lies is what it is, dude. They're just jerking you off to get in your fucking wars is what it is, dude. Anyway, it said findings in the United Kingdom are similar to those in Sweden with respect to the Scandinavian countries' aspirations to join NATO in response to the war. Said there, military-age men age 18 to 29 polled as at least supportive of joining the military alliance in May, with support and opposition tied at about 43%. Women in the same age cohort, probably less likely to be drafted in the front lines in the event of a major conflict, were somewhat more supportive of joining at 45% and much less opposed at 32%. Said elderly Swedes aged 65 to 79, extremely unlikely to be asked to fight, were meanwhile strongly in favor of NATO membership at 61%. Of course they were, dude. Because again, they're not going to be the ones going off to fucking war to fight for some damn proxy war is what it is, dude. It would be the motherfucking asshole young at this point, dude. It would be these fucking assholes. Sorry, not the asshole young. It would be these fucking old assholes sending the young off to fight and die in their fucking bullshit is what it is, dude. And like I said, if it was these old assholes having to be forced to go out there and fucking fight their own goddamn wars and shit, dude, you would have a lot of people be like, no, I'm good, bro. No, I'm good, bro. And people would be like, no, fuck you, dude. Like, you wanted to have this. Let's have it out, bro. Come on, bro. Fuck. You know? Seriously. But, yeah, I think it's just a bunch of crap entirely, dude, that you have all these motherfuckers that are all like, oh, yeah, I totally support the current thing, basically. And it's like, and you're part of the fucking problem, dude. That's the whole problem entirely with this fucking whole thing, dude. So, anyway. Let's see where we're at now. Okay, that was in that article. Yeah, it's a bunch of crap entirely, dude. And like I said, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm sure as fuck not going to go fight in some other assholes fucking proxy war. These old fuckers want to get into some shit, want to do some fucking saber rattling with teeny dicks and shit is what it is, dude. They can go wave their teeny cocks at each other in some gay fucking porn set or something like that, dude, honestly. Fuck them all. Seriously, bro. And then for the other big backhoe game, this is where it actually gets interesting. And actually, it's big backhoe game here in America for Florida. Florida sheriff to homeowners, shoot looters until they look like grated cheese. Like, what? Like, seriously, Grady Judd, you should have just told him to play the big backhoe game, bro. Just get out the big backhoe for when you gotta deal with them looters, man. For real. It says Polk County, Florida Sheriff Grady Judd is telling residents of his county to protect their homes by shooting looters until they look like grated cheese. Said Grady told Fox News on Friday, people have a right to be safe in their homes. They have a right to their property to be safe, even when part of their home may be torn away. And these looters, that's unacceptable. Said Grady went on to encourage Polk County residents to defend their property from looters and to make sure looters understand there could be a high price to pay for taking advantage of hurricane victims. Judd said, I would highly suggest that if a looter breaks into your home, comes into your home while you're home to steal stuff, that you take your gun and shoot him. You shoot him so that he looks like grated cheese. Damn. Said on June 1st, 2020, Breitbart noted that Sheriff Judd addressed another incident with possible looters by encouraging homeowners to blow them back out of the house. Yeah, I remember that shit actually. Said Fox 13 quoted Judd saying, "If you value your life, you probably shouldn't do that in Polk County because the people of Polk County like guns. They have guns. I encourage them to own guns, and they're going to be in their homes tonight with their guns loaded. And if you try to break into their homes to steal, to set fires, I highly recommend they blow you back out of the house with their guns. So leave the community alone." Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, dude. This is like this dude right here, this guy right there in the photo. This is who we need more of. We need more Grady Judd type sheriffs in this fucking country, dude. People who are actually gonna tell it like it is, man. And that's the problem right now with most of our society currently. It's like either have a bunch of cuck ass sheriffs that don't want to do their jobs, or you have a bunch of other assholes that are just like, okay, let me go ahead and do this stupid shit is what it is, dude. When in reality, it's like, no, you could easily have something like that where it's some dude who actually gives a fuck about the community and wants to see people, be safe in their homes is what it is. And unfortunately, when you don't have that kind of, mutual respect and everything else like that, that's where you end up with a bad situation, and you have people who don't give a fuck about the laws, what it is, dude. And then we wonder why our society is in such a shit show that it is right now, honestly. And it's not that hard to figure out, honestly, dude. It's very much a situation of fuck around and find out kind of thing, And if people stopped fucking around, they wouldn't have to find out, man. So, yeah, it's a bunch of crap either way, dude. But the entire point is, though, is that there's no need for it. You can easily just not be a fucking criminal, And the less criminals that are going to be on the streets doing, stupid criminal shit is what it is, dude, the less likely that they're going to be killed in self-defense situations and stuff like that. And the less likely that there's going to be a big backhoe used to dig their fucking grave. And that's the entire point of the big backhoe game, dude. We talked about the big backhoe game back in 2020 even on this channel. Of course, that's a video that's now privated on this channel. But yeah, you had the big backhoe game back then. And it was people that were going around stealing shit. And they wanted to fuck around. And they wanted to sit there and fucking do a bunch of shady ass shit. Set fires, loot people's homes, etc., during the 2020 rioting season. And people weren't having it. And rightfully so. You had a Kyle Rittenhouse step up. You had other people like that step up, dude. Because people are not going to have it, dude. They're not going to put up with it anymore. When you're not giving people an option to, remain peaceful, it's going to come to violence. And people are not going to like it when it comes to violence in this country, dude. A lot of them are not. Because they're going to be the ones that get the violence against them. And when you have people that just want to fuck around and find out, yeah, it's time to fuck around and find out, bro. That's the entire point right now. And this is the issue right now with our society in a nutshell, dude. When you have people that just want to sit there and fucking, play games and act like they're a bunch of fucking assholes and everything else like that, dude. Like, fuck them. Seriously. It's ridiculous to sit there and fucking have to deal with criminality everywhere across the board when you shouldn't have to deal with these kind of people, dude. There is zero reason whatsoever to have to deal with things like that when people just want to be left alone. And I think that's the problem with our society in a nutshell right now, dude, is it's people that they just want to be left alone and people just don't want to leave them alone. And then you end up having violence become a thing, dude. It's like that guy in fucking Philadelphia, that we talked about in the last episode, where it was basically 4 strong-arm robbers at a fucking gas station just trying to strong-arm rob this guy who was just trying to get some fucking gas. And it's like, bro, like, fuck off. Go get a fucking job, you lazy motherfuckers. And that's the problem, dude. It's all these lazy fucking little worthless cunts that never got a fucking real, that have never worked a real 9 to 5 in their fucking lives, and want to sit there and be little criminal fucking shit stains every fucking 5 seconds. Is what it is, dude. And then you wonder why people get fucking pissed about it. And it's like, yeah, there's a fucking reason, because you're a fucking piece of shit, dude. And that's the entire point. And we're sick and fucking tired of it, dude. We're sick and tired of watching good people get gunned down in the middle of the fucking street or whatever it is, dude, because some fucking lazy piece of shit wants to sit there and fuck around. And that's the entire problem right now in a nutshell, honestly, with this country, dude. This is just a bunch of little dickless pieces of shit, honestly, dude. And personally, I'm fucking sick of it, dude. I am so sick and tired of all of it, dude. Watching my country fall down to fucking criminality and everything else like that. And it's like, nah, dude, fuck that. And honestly, I'm waiting for a time period right now of some superhero to step up and start doing something, dude. Somebody to just become fucking superheroes and shit like that. And just be like, oh, y'all want to fuck around? Cool, about to find out, bitches. And, you just have somebody create themselves is what it is, dude. Now, granted, of course, you could also have something even crazier than that, where if you got a superhero, you got super villains being created then too as well, and then it becomes a whole crazy ass thing at that point. Then, so I don't know if that'll actually happen or not, though. But it'd be kind of funny if it did, though, just because reasons. But yeah, I don't think it ever would, though. I think it'd probably just you'd probably stop it with just people being everyday criminals and everyday, good folks and stuff like that. Although, to be fair, I could totally see a Punisher type of character stepping up, though. Somebody just becoming the Punisher. And it's because they're just sick and tired of all of it. And they're like, no, man, fuck these criminals and stuff like that. So, I don't know. Only time will tell at this point. I think we're pretty much to a point right now where you can easily have a lot of crazy shit happening, and unfortunately, when certain things do happen, you have a lot of craziness happening overall, is what it ends up being. And what you end up with is, things like this, where you got the sheriff telling people, hey, if people are going to try to steal from you, if people are going to try to rob you, whatever, like, blow their fucking asses away is what it is, dude. And I'm not going to lie. I like Grady Judd a lot, dude. I think he's a good dude, honestly. I remember there was a couple of years ago when I first, I forget what I was watching at the time, but it was basically them talking about this. Or no, it wasn't even a couple of years ago. It was maybe like 6 months ago or something. It was Judd talking about the bullshit shenanigans going on there in Florida with a group of people who were just stealing shit. And it was this group of about probably 8 to 10 black people, maybe more even. Some of them were kids, by the way, involved in that group. It was like at least 4 to 6 adults, and I think it was like, actually, come to think of it, it was more than 10. It was probably like 15 or so, I think, maybe even more than that, come to think of it. It was a bunch of adults. It was like probably at least 6 adults, and I think there was like 5 to 10 kids, give or take, within them and stuff like that. And yeah, you had these like 5 or 6 adults that were just a bunch of scumbag fucking thieves that were going into restaurants and fucking ordering, $100 worth of shit just to go and steal everything is what it was, dude. And it's like, fuck all these fucking people, dude. Seriously. Like, there's zero reason for any of them to be out from behind bars at that point, dude. Because if you're gonna do shit like that, like, no, you need to be catching charges, dude, for real. It's ridiculous to let these people off the hook with nothing when they are clearly criminals in this country. And when you're doing criminal shit like that, no, you need to be hit with a fucking book at that point, dude. And if that means that, guess what? You're now going to jail for a while is what it is, dude. And you're going to be serving some time for the crimes you're committing and stuff like that. Good. That's how it should be. That's how law and order works, honestly, dude. And unfortunately, people don't want to sit here and actually talk about that stuff. They'd rather sit there and be like, oh, no, that's not how it should be, or whatever the case be, or, oh, we need fucking bail reform or some other stupid fucking bullshit. And it's like, no, dude, what we need is actual law and order and people getting fucking charged with the crimes they're committing and actually be put in prison to do the damn prison sentences that they fucking commit is what it is, dude. And until we have that kind of a thing in this country, like, nothing's ever going to change. And unfortunately, you have so many dumb people that just want to sit here and be all like, blah, 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 and fucking, fuck off, basically. And it's like, dude, at what point do we as a society stop functioning because of that shit? Like, this is the problem right now. When you're not having a functional society because of allowing criminals to run a fucking muck, is what it is, then you end up with a situation where you have way worse fucking shit going on after the fact because you're not addressing actual criminality in this fucking country and are simply just fucking around, and then eventually it becomes fuck around and find out, is what it is, man. Seriously. And unfortunately, that's where we're heading right now as a nation, dude. Is that fuck around and find out kind of mentality right now, dude. Because at some point, that's what's going to happen. You're going to have so many people that are just so fucking sick and tired of all of it. And they're just like, I'm not putting up with this anymore, dude. And they're going to sit there and they're going to do what they need to do to protect themselves and their fucking families, and rightfully so. As it should be. That's exactly how society should work, dude. If somebody's going to come around and fuck with you and fuck with your livelihood and fuck with your life and stuff like that, dude, you should have every right in this country to be able to kill them in self-defense and not face charges for it, because at that point it is 100% justifiable homicide, and it's that simple, honestly, man. And if people want to sit here and have this fucking conversation with me ever, I'll fucking have this conversation all day, every day, baby, because I know for a fact that I would be in the right, and I know for a fact any Ohioan would be in the right now if that such a thing like that happened, because people have been in the right in the past because of that, dude, because we have stand your ground, because we have constitutional carry, because we are able to have good lawmakers in place right now. We're able to have good representatives in place right now that became lawmakers to actually be able to make the laws, to change the law to what it should have been to begin with, dude. So, and I'm hoping a lot of other states follow that way too, is what it is, man. Because right now, we are definitely in a precipice in this country's history where at some point people are going to have to start making decisions, and there's going to be a lot of people that don't want to make those decisions. Some of them out of sheer fear for their, existence after the fact, and some because they just know that they can't take a life, is what it is, dude, or know that they can't, defend themselves or whatever it is, dude. And that's fine. If you know that for a fact, dude, if you think you're going to be that position or whatever, that's fine, dude. More power to you. The thing is, though, don't sit here and deny the rest of us the right to do that. Because a lot of us out here, we actually know what we're capable of, and we know what needs to be done to protect ourselves and our families. So don't even think about trying to take that right away from people like me, man. Because we will fight you tooth and nail in the courts for that shit, dude. Because we have every single right across the board to be able to have that constitutional right, and to sit there and talk about how people are going to be able to do certain things or do whatever here it is. It's a bunch of shit all the way around, dude. And my biggest thing is with all of it is it's like, yeah, if you're going to sit there and try to tell someone, oh, you can't defend yourself, or oh, you defended yourself, but now you're going to go to prison because you had to kill that person in self-defense. That is a bunch of fucking bullshit, dude, entirely. It is a bunch of bullshit all the way across the board, dude. Because there is no reason ever, ever, that someone should have to fear for their lives and fear having to deal with a bunch of shit to where you have people who do not care about someone's actual livelihood or whatever it is, dude. Because there are far too many people out there right now that don't give a shit about anybody, dude. They don't give a shit about anybody but themselves. And most of those people are criminals in our country right now, dude. And unfortunately, if they're going to make that decision to be doing criminal stuff, then they're going to be facing the consequences, whether that be an armed citizenry or whatever the case be, which is how it needs to be, honestly, sometimes. Because if you're not willing to step up and actually deal with these fucking people, dude, and do what needs to be done to make sure that your loved ones are protected and good, enough is enough of it, dude. Like, seriously. There's a reason why I'm a constitutionalist. There's a reason why I became a Second Amendment advocate and activist, and it's because of the fact that I was sick and tired of seeing this kind of shit, dude. I was sick and tired of seeing good people lose their lives to scumbag fucking piece of shit criminals when it didn't need to be a thing. Because there's no need for it to be a thing. You know, there's never a reason for some piece of shit criminal to get the jump on you. And the fact that you have people who refuse to discuss things about different topics and different, you know, whatever, it's a bunch of shit, dude. It really is. And when you have people who do not care about what is happening in this country and do not care about what, you know, we have seen as a society since 2020 and will not open their eyes to what the hell is going on around them, there's a huge fucking issue in this country, dude. And it's willful ignorance, honestly. It's the willful ignorant shit going on across our fucking spectrum right now, dude, in this country. And I'll be damned if I'll sit by and let people fucking take advantage of me or my family, dude. I'll be damned if I fucking walk outside and some motherfucker, you know, tries to carjack me or whatever it is, dude. And I don't put up a fucking fight, dude. And if I die in that fucking exchange, okay, so be it. At least I went down fucking swinging. And I feel like so many Americans now are in that same position to where it's like, hey, you know, maybe I lost the fucking fight at the end of the day, but at least I tried my best kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? And it's one of them kind of situations like that where people understand that, hey, at some point you need to take a stand. And whether that be to protect your rights and everybody else's rights, or whether that be, you know, something else across the board, does not matter, honestly, dude. It's time to step up and do something. And I think far too many Americans are refusing to do that right now. And I think that's one of America's biggest problems currently, is that you have too many people that aren't willing to be their own first responder, that they're not willing to actually take responsibility for what comes. And both sides of the aisle, for that matter, dude, whether it be a criminal or whether it be an armed citizen, for that matter, it's the criminals just wanting to criminal and not have any responsibility for their fucking actions, like that piece of shit that killed that Shane Bartek cop here, or whether it be everything else across the board, dude. And by the way, I'd like to point something out. That Tara McLeod bitch that killed that guy, her ass is now doing life in prison. She should have got a death penalty for that dude's murder, by the way. The thing is, she should have never been out of fucking prison due to other shit she was doing around that time, dude, when she had a whole fuck ton of other crazy shit going on, and she was literally going around doing all kinds of fucking criminal shenanigans at the time, dude. And she had already done, like, I think it was like 18 different fucking felonies at that point before the age of 18. And yet the judges in these fucking, you know, these juvenile courts didn't fucking slap the book on her ass, dude, is what it was. And they fucking should have. Because had they done so, she wouldn't have been out to carjack that Shane dude that night, and she wouldn't have been able to kill him that night. But because fucking retard judges didn't do their fucking job and keep this dumb little bitch locked the fuck up, she was able to then go more criminal and kill a fucking cop, dude. Now, granted, he was off duty at the time, but still. And the thing is, even Shane tried to fight back against her that night, dude. He didn't succeed, obviously. You know, he unfortunately failed in that mission, but at least he tried. At least he tried to do something. And I feel like, unfortunately, with the way things are going right now, far too many don't even bother. Far too many people don't care. Far too many don't want to do anything. And it's just a situation of, you know, at what point do we take a stand? You know, at what point do Americans do what needs to be done to take care of ourselves, you know? And I think that's coming. I think it's coming more and more. I think you're going to see a lot more Americans finally step up to the plate and be like, no, we're not putting up with it anymore, dude. And when that happens, you're going to see you're going to see that script be flipped very, very quickly. And when it is, you're going to see a lot of people be like, oh shit. And like I said, I think it's already starting to happen. I believe truthfully it's already starting to happen. Mostly because of the fact that when you look at different things going on right now, there is a lot of shit going down in this country that nobody wants to talk about, and how we've actually had, you know, almost a dozen fucking states become constitutional carry in the last couple of years in this country, dude, since 2020. And we could have actually had more than a dozen in the last 2 years, actually, had it not been for piece of shit governors like Tom Wolf in Pennsylvania vetoing their legislation there, or Nebraska not getting off their fucking ass fast enough to get it done, or pieces of shit in the Florida legislature fucking making sure it never got to committees and stuff like that in their time period of being in office for that, 90 days or whatever it was there for that General Assembly. Or Wisconsin for that matter, or fucking Colorado, where you literally have Moms Demand Action having such a fucking lockdown there of anti-gun bullshit. You have a fucking Democrat, basically supermajority in that state, to where they ain't gonna get nothing, dude, and they keep having their fucking gun rights stripped away one at a time. And, I'd like to point out that there has been a lot of fucking potheads that moved to that state after weed became legalized in Colorado. And it's them bringing their Democrat voter base with them is what it is, dude. And people are sick and tired of it, as they should be. It's ridiculous to sit here and have to deal with that kind of crap when you just want to get your life together and be able to do whatever, It's absolutely ridiculous, dude. For people to not have to actually, be able to have a real decent livelihood and stuff like that. And I think it's sad when you have so many Americans that don't even understand that, there is a thing in this country that we have the right to self-defense. We have the right to be able to be protected and be able to be, like I said, our own first responders and stuff like that. And that's the main truth of everything right there, man. Like, there's a lot of people that don't get that. And there's a lot more that are starting to get it, is what it is. And I'm hoping, praying right now that the people that are hearing this and understand what I'm talking about are finally, doing something. Whether it be preparing, whether it be, making sure that you are mentally capable of doing something if you have to do something, and not just become another victim. Because like I said, there are far too many out there right now that are already victims, dude. Far too many Americans that have lost their lives senselessly to repeat violent offenders that should have never seen the light of day again because they should have never been alive after the fucking last crime that they committed, is what it is. And yet, instead, you have all these fucking retards in office that keep letting them back on the fucking streets, is what it is. You have the Fettermans of the fucking world letting them back on the fucking streets again to go kill some more people, dude. And straight up admitting that there's a huge likelihood that some of them are going to be repeat offenders like that, dude. And it's like, again, so why even let them back out, bro? And it's because you're a fucking piece of garbage, man. That's what it is, dude. It's the same thing with Tom Wolf. Same thing with Nan Whaley. Same thing with every fucking Democrat across the board that I've seen, dude. And a lot of the fucking rhino sacks of shit, too, for that matter, You have all these Republicans that claim to be so pro-law and order and everything else like that. If that be the case, if that were really true, and the same thing with sheriffs across the board, for that matter, if these people were really pro-law and order, if they were really pro-America, if they were really good constitutionalists, they would respect the fucking oath they took to office and actually give people back a thing that they should have never had the right to take away, which is our constitutional right to keep and bear arms wherever the fuck we feel like it, with constitutional carry, with stand your ground, etc., dude. And expand the places where any of these things can be held. You should be able to, like, I'm gonna say it like it is, dude. You should be able to carry a firearm in any state across this country, in any fucking building you want, even up to and including a fucking federal building. And the fact that you're not allowed to is a bunch of shit entirely. It is a bunch of bullshit across the fucking board. And the fact that people do not care and just simply want to sit there and fuck around, it's a bunch of BS, dude. It really is. And it really fucking aggravates the hell out of me, honestly, dude. Because at some point in history, things are going to change. Things are going to change, hopefully for the better. And when you have the betterment of society, and when you have the betterment of people doing what needs to be done, you can actually have an overall better country. And I believe at some point when that happens, you're going to see people finally wake up and realize that, yeah, something needs to be done. And I don't know if it's going to be, today, tomorrow, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, how long it's going to be, dude. But I think, truthfully, you will see something happening very soon in this country. And I believe that people are finally starting to wake up to what the hell is happening. And a lot of them are finally over it. And a lot of them are finally had it with, politicians and fucking career idiots is what it is in office, dude. To where so many are like, no, I don't give a fuck what this person has to say. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, dude. It's like, if you're going to sit there and fuck around and stuff like that, then you want to sit there and bullshit and bitch and moan and stuff. And people are going to sit there and babble on and bitch and moan and babble on some more and stuff like that. And then nobody wants to do a damn thing to actually address criminality. It only takes a certain amount of time before people finally had it, man. And before they take the law into their own hands, is what it is. And I believe, truthfully, we are witnessing a precipice right now in history of that time period where people have finally had it, and they're either demanding General Assemblies do what they do because we, the people, are their bosses, and ultimately we have the voting power to remove them from office through votes every couple of years, and in some cases, depending on the state, recall voting. And when people finally realize that they have the true power and that the constituency is the fucking bosses of these people that are in office, only then will you have way more Americans realize, like, hey, it's up to us to deal with what the fuck is going on here, dude. And whether that be run for office ourselves, or whether that be, whatever the case be, get good candidates, get some grassroots candidates, whatever it is, dude. Now is the time to do what needs to be done. And I think when it's all said and done, we're going to end up having a great amount of people who understand that, hey, when things need to happen, they're going to need to happen very quickly. And, if the grid ever does go down, you're not going to be able to call 911 for help, man. It's going to be you having to rely on yourself and whoever the hell is with you at the time. Because if you don't, you're not going to survive it. And I believe, truthfully, there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of good Americans that are not going to be able to survive it because they're not going to be able to do what needs to be done to survive. And that's the thing I fear the most, is those kind of people. Because it would be the ones who actually know what the fuck they need to do things and get shit done, that can easily work together and get what needs to be done. It would be the people that would be the X factors, the outsiders, the, fence sitters, all that stuff like that wouldn't know what the hell they're doing, and ergo would be the people who you don't know if you can trust or not. And it's why I believe, truthfully, if the grid ever does go down, there would be a lot of times where it would be kind of every man for himself early on. Or if nothing else, it would be small community versus small community. And it would be, you better hope you're sitting out in the fucking woods in the middle of nowhere, camouflaged underground, hopefully, or whatever, dude. And you have a 6-month supply of food and water and a place to take a shit that whole time. Because if you don't, if you have to come out to, take a shit or take a piss or whatever it is, dude, you're going to be more exposed and you're going to be on a weird schedule of, who's to say that there's not somebody traipsing around that area that's going to find you or find your, hole in the ground is what it is. Versus if you have a good, bunker or spot or whatever to sit down for, or if you're able to have, a small group with you and stuff like that that can protect some place that you're back in the woods in, and you have, stages of traps and stuff like that to keep wayward folks out, you're going to be much better off than if you're going to just be some person, scrambling to do whatever then, or God forbid, you're in a major city in this fucking country when the fall happens, and then you're at the mercy of a fucking warlord if they're going to kill you or not, And I feel like, truthfully, that's where we're heading right now, And the thing I also fear the most right now is all the talk of fucking nuclear war right now, dude. Because God forbid, all it takes is some fucking demented old fuck with some nuclear launch codes. Biden, Putin, whoever the fuck, doesn't even matter at this point, honestly, dude. To be a dumbass one day and be like, oh yeah, this is what DEFCON, whatever. Let's hit the fucking nuke switch. And then you have somebody go all crazy, and somebody fires off their nukes, and everybody fires off their nukes, dude. And then we're living in the fucking post-Fallout world of the 100 is what it is, dude. And hopefully we survive, And I say we collectively as humanity survives, basically, because I don't think a lot of us will survive. Of course, you'll have the world leaders survive these fucking things because they all have bunkers to go into. You know who doesn't have bunkers to go into? The rest of us. Because they don't give a fuck about us, dude. The only thing they give a fuck about is their population they can keep under control. They're going to take down some scientists. They're going to take down a few botanists, etc., that can do stuff to where they know how to grow food and, keep the air circulation, everything else like that. Various engineers and shit like that. It'd be pretty much the smartest people that they knew across the board that would be easily able to be, held under gunpoint tyranny by armed military. And then in reality, the rest of us are just fucked. Actually, if you ever watched the movie Greenland, that was a great film, actually, because it shows the true thing of everything going on there, where you have military literally getting people onto planes that they themselves aren't going to get onto. And there's a scene with one of the chicks in it that's supposed to be like military brass or whatever, and she's talking to the main lead guy about like, yeah, most of us decided to just stay on, like we know the end is coming because of these solar flares and stuff like that, but it doesn't matter. Or actually, I think technically it was not solar flares. It was comets. That's what it was. That was like hitting Earth all the time. But yeah, she's like, yeah, we know these asteroids and stuff like that are going to come kill us and shit. But doesn't really matter because, we got no place else to go, essentially is what it is. And yeah, that movie is crazy too, by the way. I've only watched it, I think, once or twice. And it really should have been a miniseries, honestly, because it would have been a really cool miniseries. And unfortunately, it was just a couple-hour film, though. But yeah, it was interesting, like what this guy had to do to get all the way to Greenland then. And, how many people didn't make it is what it was. And yeah, to me, it's like, I think if people know that the end is coming like that, I'd be surprised and shocked if you didn't have like a rise of serial killers at that point, where it was, or spree killers for that matter, where people were just going on, random killing sprees and shit like that, just because they could, and they knew, there's really no fucking ramifications for their actions at that point, because again, fucking end the world's here is what it is. And I think the same thing with the Grid Down, honestly. I think you'd see a lot of crazy shit happen very quickly, dude. That's why I fear for kids if their grid ever goes down, because they would be the most susceptible to, potentially roving gangs of pedophiles would it be, dude. Or the same thing with, single women for that matter that were decent looking and shit and don't have any skill set to protect themselves, because they would be the ones that would fall prey again to groups of horny dudes is what it is. And I think honestly there would be something similar to that on the opposite side of things, where it would be you would have a guy or two here and there that would be sort of a beta male or a even lower rung than that would fall into the trap of some third wave feminist types and stuff like that, dude. And they would have a gang of these third wave feminist types going around killing men and stuff like that, dude. So, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either way on all fronts on that one. So, but like I said, I think we're definitely heading towards an interesting time in history right now. And I think, depending on how things go, shit could get real bad real quick. And other shit could get really interesting and really crazy in a very short amount of time. And when things go south, they're going to go south very fucking fast. Very, very fucking fast. And unfortunately, when that happens, you're going to see a lot of crazy motherfuckers do a lot of crazy shit, dude. And when people start going insane and doing that kind of crazy shit, that is when we as a society are going to be in some bad way, dude. And I think, unfortunately, we're heading towards it right now, and people don't even realize it. Because, again, you'd be surprised at how crazy some people are already, dude. And they're just masking things. I think we've seen it somewhat in 2020, honestly, dude. You saw how fast people were willing to riot over some idiot, fucking retarded meth head piece of shit, crackhead junkie named George Floyd. And it's like, yeah, if that's how people are after only a couple of months under a quote unquote lockdown, my God, man, just think about what society's going to look like if there are no rules on the table anymore. That's the kind of shit that scares the crap out of me, dude. And I think, truthfully, that's what should be scaring a lot of other Americans, dude, and getting them to prepare themselves for a potential bad time. Because if you're not prepared, if you're going to sit there and act like you potentially are like king shit, essentially, then you don't know what the fuck you're doing even. And you're just going to be a liability when things go south. And that's why I think, truthfully, going back to what I mentioned this week in one of these other episodes, there's going to be a lot of females that act like they're all hot shit, and they're going to be used and abused like a motherfucker, dude. And you're going to have a bunch of these third wave feminist types find out real quick what real third wave feminism looks like in a grid down scenario, dude, when they're getting their asses handed to them in various scenarios, is what it is, man. Or they're basically, forcing themselves to prostitute themselves out to have a meal that day and potentially have some protection from a guy or a group of guys for that matter. And if you look throughout human history, dude, what's the one oldest profession in the book? It's prostitution. And that's why I believe, truthfully, you'd have a lot of people that would be willing to go that route, and you would have a lot of people that would fail to go that route because of the fact that they're not as good looking as they think they are, is what it is, dude. And so what you'd end up with is a bunch of females who are moderately okay looking, but they're not great looking. And so what you'd end up with there is you'd basically have all these chicks that would be like, oh no, I'm hot shit. And it's like, no, you're really not actually. And so ergo, they would be putting themselves in the situation of, yeah, you think you're all that or whatever, that case being a bag of chips, but in reality, you ain't nothing, dude. And most people actually just want a bag of chips, is what it is. And that's my big thing too, as well, is if I was going to be in a situation of a grid down, would I rather have some beautiful chick with no skill set that potentially maybe could learn a few things here and there, but wouldn't be the quickest study? Or would I rather have some chick that wasn't all that good looking? Maybe she was a homely woman, but she had a decent skill set. So would I rather have a 10 that knows next to nothing, but is willing to put out for protection, etc., and maybe gets on my nerves to the point of, I just ditch her ass one day, or would I rather have some chick that's a, 4 or 5 or so that is going to stand by my side and actually has the skills to pay the bills and is willing to work together to get things accomplished to where we could both survive long term. And I believe truthfully, anybody that does not say that second one is a fucking fool, dude. Anybody that says they would take the hot chick over the mildly attractive woman with a skill set is a liar, because there are so many out there who don't have anything, dude. Who do not have anything to offer at all in this country. And I feel like the longer we go as a society, the more and more these people are outing themselves as do-nothings, basically, because they have done nothing at this point in history to actually give themselves the ability to get ahead, because they always think, oh, I'm good looking, I'm, attractive, whatever it is there. And then you wonder why they tend to be the ones who end up next to nothing, is what it is, dude. Or with nothing, for that matter. And again, it's not that hard to figure out, dude. When you're doing nothing, when you're actively whatever, only time will tell who has what and who becomes what in a situation. And I believe that truthfully, when that time is set and when that time is, here and found out and everything else like that, that is when you're actually going to see the truth of humanity, and you're going to see the mask finally slip off of everybody of who's good, who's bad, who, decides to go down a bad route, whatever the case be. And I think when that happens, you're going to see a lot of crazy shit happen in a very quick period of time, dude. And I think it's going to make people's heads spin so much so that they don't even know what the fuck way is up at that point. And it is going to be scary. It's going to be very scary for a lot of people, dude. Because those are the kind of people who don't know how to deal with things like that. They don't know what the right position to be in is. And they tend to be the ones that are the most fragile minded, I guess is what I'd say best, to where they can't keep it together, to where you could have people just go mad and be like the dude in fucking the beginning of Dawn of the Dead, where he just walks out in his fucking robe with his 1911 and just starts capping people. Not sure which one of them was a zombie or not, but just start shooting people randomly. And I think you'd have a lot of people go that route, is what it is, dude. And they would get themselves killed and they would get others killed very quickly. And that's why I believe you would have leaders step up naturally that wouldn't put up with that kind of shit, dude. And if they figure this person's going to be a liability, oh, they'll take them out in desert walk, dude. It might not be a desert walk, but it might just be a walk of, it's all good, bro. Just look at the flowers. Check out how beautiful the flowers are. And then everybody else is just like, oh, okay, so we're doing that now? It's like, yeah, had to do that now, bro. So, anyway, like I said, I think we're definitely heading towards some very, very iffy times in this country's history, to where you're going to see a lot of insane shit happen in a very quick succession time period. And the quicker that people are able to adapt to it, the faster that they are able to realize what their own mentality is when it comes to certain things and what they're going to be capable of doing. And like I said, I think the biggest thing is when you look at places like, Britain, etc., and they're sitting there and you have the old folks being like, oh, okay, we can just do this thing kind of deal, or whatever the case be. We don't give a fuck that we're sending off the young guys and the young gals to fucking, go fight in some random war, as long as we don't have to fight in it, until that day comes where they do have to fight in it. And then they're like, wait a minute, what? Why do we have to fight in this? And yeah, it becomes a whole situation there. And it's going to be a fucking big deal when it does happen, because you're going to have people that finally wake up and realize, oh shit, maybe I should have been better prepared. Maybe I should have been, stockpiling whatever this whole time. Maybe I should have listened to the guy down the street and, you know, stocked up on whatever it was, ammo, food, medicine. But in reality, those are the people that, didn't do these things, and then they'll try to come knock on your door or form a mob to knock on your door. And unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of people who would have to open fire on those people. So, yeah, like I said, it's a whole thing. I think we're definitely heading towards an interesting time in history, though. And I think it might be unprecedented. It might not be unprecedented. It might just be one of these things where, hell, it could have been some society, 300-400 years ago that we just don't know about. It could be like Roanoke, honestly, for that matter, where it's, they just up and disappear one day and we don't know any trace of whatever happened to them and stuff like that, dude. Which, that is a weird story, by the way. If you never heard that story about like Roanoke and the Roanoke colony and stuff like that, it's a really weird mystery. And I think they kind of covered it in that one show. What the hell's that series called now? Haven. That was a great series, by the way. If you never watched Haven, watch Haven. It's got the one blonde chick in it from a couple of different things, and then it had oh, Eric Belfler, I think is what that guy's name was, or something like that. He's been an actor in a bunch of shit over the years. He has a brother too that's like, I believe, a twin brother, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm not sure if it was his twin brother that was in the first episode of Buffy, or if it was him that played that role. But yeah, that guy's been an actor for decades, and he was really good in that series. And then there was a couple other people that are like semi-knowns and stuff like that in there. And yeah, it's just a good series overall. It ends pretty weird, but overall, it's a really great series. And like I said, I think in general, it would be a situation there where you would end up having something to a point of people realizing that, when all is said and done, they may only have themselves to rely on. They may only have their immediate families to rely on, or their extended families for that matter, depending on how close you are geographical wise, and how, God forbid if grid down does happen. I mean, shit, a 20-mile, a 50-mile drive would be like weeks of hiking or weeks of biking or something like that, dude. And God forbid, you had to deal with marauders on the roads and shit like that, dude. Like, yeah, you're going to be stuck, And that's the one thing I fear about EMPs in modern day cars, dude. Like, if we have an EMP or a solar flare hit, man, we're all fucked. And, anybody that doesn't have like an old ass vehicle that could survive it and be hardened to that stuff, or have, some spark plugs or whatever changed out onto it, those are going to be few and far between, those kind of folks and those kind of, vehicles. And unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of Americans that are just going to be stuck in place, basically. And it would be them having to form bonds with their local communities very quickly and figure out like what is what, and, hope that they don't end up, the next victim of some crazy band of marauders or whatever the case be, dude. And be smart enough to actually have like sentries and an outpost and stuff like that be able to be built so that people can actually be able to do stuff, So, and that's also the one thing about grid down too. Like, unless you have like Faraday cages for fucking, which by the way, any microwave, as long as it's closed and stuff, can potentially be a small Faraday cage. So unless you would have like, walkie talkies or something like that stuck in a Faraday cage / microwave all the time, and a few other things that would be able to survive an EMP attack, you're not going to have the ability to communicate to somebody at an outpost. It would have to literally be like old school, hope you got like a crankable alarm kind of situation there, whatever the case be, where if something does happen, you see like a band coming or whatever the case be, they can just crank the fucking alarm real fast or whatever the case be, and then, start shooting after that or whatever at the band of marauders and shit. So, but yeah, it's definitely going to get a lot lot worse before it ever gets better. And I think, truthfully, we are definitely at a time period in history right now where the longer we go and the more that we go without something happening very soon, the more likelihood that we're going to sit there and face some bad shit when it's all said and done. And I think, unfortunately, with Americans, we have had it too cushy for far too long in this country, dude. And that's the big thing about having some kind of a conflict or some kind of a, you know, world war or civil war or revolution or revolt or whatever it is, dude, is eventually you're going to be able to have the ability to come together and have camaraderie. Whereas if you don't have that stuff already and you don't understand how to make that a reality, because people have their heads buried in phones and games and stuff all the time, is what it is. That when you have kids nowadays that can't even form full sentences because they can't even look you in the fucking eye because they're constantly on a phone or in front of a screen or something else for that matter. Like, we are definitely seeing the degradation of society right now, dude. And I believe, truthfully, the longer we go, the more towards idiocracy we're becoming right now. And a lot of it has to do with tech. And I think, honestly, an EMP might solve all of that. As much as I enjoy playing games on my phone, even, I think we'd be better off because it would let the strong survive and the weak would perish. I don't know exactly where I'm at right now in that, honestly, if I'm strong or if I'm weak. I think I'm strong minded. I might be weak physically. I think I could go for a while though, And my thing is I would go until I couldn't anymore. Now, granted, the best time for such an event to happen, whether it be an EMP or whether it be a solar flare, whatever the case be, would be summertime, or at least spring anyway. Because then you would have the ability to understand exactly what you would need to do after that and have the months to prepare and stuff like that versus, God forbid it hits right in the middle of fucking winter or something, then you're just fucked. And yeah, there'd be it would just be like that Jericho episode, dude, where you just have people freezing to death right in front of their fireplaces because it just, the cold drops so quickly and the temperature just, plummets is what it is. And all of a sudden, what you thought was going to be a warm day or a warm, area or whatever the case be, you didn't have enough stuff to survive. And it doesn't matter how many layers you put on, like if you can't, keep body temp regulated, you're just going to freeze to death. And unfortunately, I think there's going to be a lot of people that go out that way and going, to what I've talked about before with the whole cannibalism aspect of things. I think you would see a lot of people, if they get hungry enough, they'd be like, well, I mean, they're dead anyway, might as well just do it, kind of thing is what it is, dude. And yeah, you would have people, start prepping is what it would be. It would be like that Walking Dead episode in early season 5 where you have them basically just preparing their own that was killed on the table. And they had all those different bins for stuff where it's like, okay, this is stuff to be used for, actual meat and shit. And this is like other wasteful parts is what it is, dude. So yeah, I think you'd have a lot of stuff like that is what it would be. And unfortunately, there would be a lot of people who don't want to see that or don't want to register that as an actual thing or whatever. And in reality, it could be a reality at some point, depending on how, prepared someone is or how prepared a group of people are for that matter. And that's why it's better to prep now while things are still, semi to a point of stability, even if we are in inflation time period and stuff like that, before you actually do end up in a Great Depression or great, reset kind of deal, whatever it is, dude, doesn't really matter. Because I believe, truthfully, the longer that things go and the worse that we end up being, the more likelihood that you're going to end up having a bunch of bad shit happen. And the more that you're going to have people who don't know how to sustain and do self-sustainability, that they're going to basically rely on marauding tactics and stuff like that. And those are going to be the people that are going to be the most dangerous of all, because those are going to be the people that are willing to kill for food. Those are going to be the people that are willing to kill you and make you food. And, I don't know about anybody else, man, but I'm not down for that. I'm not down for having to deal with that stuff. I'd much rather be in the mentality and the kind of place to where if I had to do something, it would be as simple as, you know, hiding, hiding, letting them pass, and hopefully they don't come back for a while, and being able to hide my ability of where the hell I'm at so that I don't have to deal with people versus, oh shit, they're right on top of my ass. Oh fuck, how long is it going to be before, I'm dead basically. And yeah, I believe truthfully there would be a lot of folks that would be in that kind of scenario of, how long until I can't survive anymore kind of thing, or how long until, they find my hideout is what it is. And, actually for those interested, if you never watched the series From, that is a good fucking show. It's only had one season so far. It's going to be getting a second season here. I believe it's either at the end of the year or early next year. And it's basically, the gist of it is these people that find themselves in an alternate reality or something, to where there's like these creatures that hunt them at night. And yeah, there's an episode of it, spoiler alert, where they're basically hiding underground because they haven't, figured out a way to stay away from these things without being killed by them. And so you literally have people just like hiding underground and, basically like rats in a fucking maze, essentially is what it is. And basically just trying to keep as quiet as possible so they're not found by these creatures. And, I don't know about anybody else, but like, that would be a horrible way to live, dude. That would be a horrible, horrible way to have to survive, because you don't know when the fucking gangs of people are going to come out and fuck with you. And like I said, the best thing you could do right now is be prepared for everything and be able to maintain a good mindset and get healthier, honestly, because I know for a fact I'm not that healthy right now. Like, I need to get into the gym again, dude. And I think that's a great thing for everybody out there. Best thing you can do right now, honestly, hit the gym, get yourself in shape, and hopefully you're able to get together with a community of some kind, because if you can get together with a community of some kind and be able to protect each other, you're going to be in a lot better off position than you would have been had it just been you and, let's say, a spouse, or even just you as a solo individual, because of the fact that, if you actually are able to come together with a group of people, you're able to have each other's backs then, and you're able to actually, have other people out there that could be able to watch over you, and be that extra set of eyes or whatever that's needed for a century or whatever the case be, dude. And so, yeah, you're definitely in a much better shape that way than being able to go out and do what needs to be done to just be a solo, hunter or whatever the case be it is then. So, you know, like I said, I think we're definitely heading towards a time period in history right now where America is going to face a lot of upheavals in the coming months, in the coming years. And I think the longer we go as a society right now, the less likely that people are going to be to actually be able to care for one another. And I believe truthfully, especially when you look at that thin veil of humanity I was talking about a few minutes ago, when you saw the masks of people slip off in 2020 and see how tyrannical people are going to be and how dictatorial people would be and just how, scummy society could be to each other. Dude, that is not the kind of world I want to live in a post grid down society. And the last damn thing that I want to see is something like that happening. So, yeah. But anyway, it is what it is. And like I said, it's, people are going to be people. And, the more that we look at society as a whole, I think the more likelihood that you're going to see with folks deciding to, let's say, break bad. That's the best way to describe it. I think you're going to see a lot more people that are willing to break bad, willing to break the, norms of society and stuff like that, and be willing to actually, go out there and be a crazy motherfucker and do some crazy shit for, whether it be themselves or others for that matter. And I think honestly, the longer that we go as a society, the more likelihood that you're going to see a lot more of those individuals come out of the woodwork, and the more that you're going to see those particular people find their way towards each other is what it is. And unfortunately, when they don't want to actually, you know, maintain, continue on, whatever you want to call it at that point, and just want to be, a bunch of scumbags essentially, you're going to see a lot of scumbag mentality come out of the woodwork. And I think truthfully, it's going to get a lot scarier and it's going to get a lot worse as time goes on. And honestly, I don't know how many out there have seen the movie The Road. I don't want to live in that society. I choose not to. I choose not to live in that fucking society, dude. Like honestly, like that would be my worst case scenario right there. Would be something like that, bro. And yeah, there is no fucking chance in hell that if something came down that way, that it wouldn't be something like, you know, okay, everybody, come into the room right now. Let's do this thing or whatever the case be. Here's a big picture of stuff kind of deal. So, but yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people that would, you know, self delete that way, is what it is. And unfortunately, a lot of people say it's the coward's way out. I disagree on that one. Because if you're already facing down the barrel of a gun and the gun is going to be the rest of your life where you're living in fear for however the fuck ever long you got left on earth at that point, you know, why not take a different route is what it is. Why not choose to go out on your own terms is what it is. And I think truthfully, you know, it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to be able to say, okay, today is going to be the day kind of thing. And there will be people that will decide that route for themselves, dude. And there'll be other people that will decide it for them, because there will be some crazies out there that would just be willing to pick people off, is what it is. And like I said, there'll be people that are willing to take advantage of others, is what it is, no matter what, dude. And unfortunately, the longer things go bad and stay bad, the more you will see the truth of the thin veil of humanity come out, is what it is. And I think that's pretty much where we're sitting right now as a society. And we're heading towards that point in history where people are finally letting their true colors be known. And unfortunately, a lot of people that you thought were your friends, they were never your friends. They were just some random people on the internet. And, that's fine. That's fine that those people let themselves be known to me and others out there. And like I've said before, I want nothing to do with any of those individuals ever again. And it's as simple as that, really. And I'm glad it happened before all this shit went down, dude, because, God forbid, you would actually have something worse happen now. because now would be the time to actually know before everything goes down, because that way you're actually in more of a mindset to prepare for the eventual, you know, end or end times or whatever you want to call them, and know exactly who you'd be preparing with versus, okay, I thought I was preparing with this person, but it turns out I'm not. Or it turns out, oh, they actually turned their back on me, kind of thing is what it is. So, you know, that way you're able to have more than one plan. You're able to have multiple backup plans, is what it would be then. So, yeah. And like I said, honestly, the best thing to do right now, mentally, physically prepare, but also have multiple plans of backup plans to those first plans. Because the more plans you can have, the more that you know, who can be trusted and who can't be trusted and all that stuff like that, the more likely you are to actually be able to survive long term, and the more likelihood that you're going to be able to have the ability to adapt on the fly and be able to actually do what needs to be done to continue on and go down the road of, you know, this is what we thought we were doing versus this is what was actually happening. And that be the case, then, you know, maybe you're not going to play the big backhoe game when it's all said and done, or maybe you're not going to be the person that the big backhoe game is going to be played against, is what it is. And unfortunately, you know, I think there will be a lot of people that would go with the big backhoe game depending on if things were still working or not. And yeah, it's a whole thing, man. But like I said, when it's all said and done, you know, be the ball, basically. Do what needs to be done to get things done. Hmm. But yeah, when it's yeah, it's a whole thing, man. And like I said, and it's one of those situations where, you know, society, I think, will self correct always. And whether that means you're going to have good people step up and, you know, be saviors of humanity, or whether it be, you know, somebody that you're willing to live under as a potential dictator ruler, is what it is, dude, until you're not anymore. And I think, truthfully, you know, like going, you know, Walking Dead style here, I think there'd be a lot of people that would be willing to fall under a Negan type and be able to live under that kind of ruthless mentality as long as they knew they were going to get fed, versus other people that do just want to live free and would be more inclined to go under, you know, a Rick or a Michonne or a Daryl or a fucking Ezekiel or whatever the case be, type of community leader. And I think some of them are going to be the people that are in the middle, where, you know, it's like those dudes in the early seasons that were the cannibals. You know, they didn't want to be cannibals. They just were trying to save people. And unfortunately, they let the wrong ones in at one point. And what happened with that? You had those dudes rape the guy's mom, and then the fucking chicks, the other chicks that were in that place, and, you know, just do gang rapes and shit on these people and beat the hell out of the guys, is what it was. And then eventually they fought back. And it was at that point that they decided, hey, it's cannibal time now. And like I said, it's not a pathway that people choose when it comes to cannibalism. It's on, in a lot of cases, it's unintended. You know, it's people just trying to survive. And when you're hungry enough, you know, you don't care what's for dinner as long as there's dinner. And unfortunately, you know, when it goes to, you know, hunting and stuff like that in society now, there's a lot of hunters in a lot of states, dude. And there'd be a lot more that would basically clear cut and kill everything in X amount of radius to where there'd be nothing left is what it would be. You'd have no animals at all left, whether it be rabbits or deer or even squirrels and shit, dude. They would be totally wiped out in less than a few weeks, is my guess. And then what are people going to do? Or God forbid you have a bunch of first time hunters out in the woods, like I said before. You know, nobody knows the actual code of, you know, hey, this is why we wear orange kind of thing. And, you know, somebody thinks they're flushing up something and it turns out, you know, oh shit, there goes Jimbo. And now Jimbo is Gumbo. Is what it is. So, you know, anyway, that's pretty much where we're at for the day, though, man. I'm getting a little tired. I'm probably gonna go take a nap here in a little bit. I've been awake for a bunch of hours now. That's why I did all those streams this morning. And I think now I'm probably gonna go nap out for a few hours and then get up later on tonight or whatever the case be. And I'll probably, most likely, as long as he throws me a link, I'll probably be part of Honda's chat tonight if he does a chat tonight. Because I know he did. I know he was gonna do the one a couple weeks ago, and then he turned out that NEA did his later or whatever, and then Honda's like, no, I got stuff to do tomorrow, and he just didn't have one that night. So hopefully it's not like that again. Hopefully it's going to be an actual chat tonight. So, but yeah, if it's going to be a chat tonight, I'll definitely hopefully be part of that then. And I'm going to try to talk to some people out of if the one guy's on that panel again, I'm going to talk to him because he's one of these guys out of Michigan that does knife making. Because I kind of want to see what he's charging for like a basic knife and stuff. I assume it's going to be more than I want to pay, but I still want to see like what his prices are overall because he gave a good turnaround time for his blade making and stuff like that for custom jobs and shit. So if nothing else, I'm going to give him a shout out on the channel in the future then. And, you know, go from there basically. And, but yeah, he seems like a good dude. He's got bunch of cool guns and stuff like that are all way more expensive than I would actually pay for those kind of guns. I think he had like it was either a 454 Kazul or it was a 460, one of the two, one of those big ass revolvers for big game there in Michigan. And it's like, I know for a fact what those cost, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna throw down a couple G's for one of those things, man. So, because even on the used market, I think those are well over $1,000 at this point. But yeah, it's just craziness though. And plus it's in such a weird caliber that even, you know, trying to, you know, sight that thing in or whatever the case be, it's going to be a bitch to do on the ammo and shit. So that would actually be the kind of handgun though. If I was going to do handgun hunting and stuff like that, that would be the one thing where I'd actually have one of those sticks that I'd go buy from a store is what it is for like, you know, lining up shots and shit like that. But also if I was going to do like certain rifle hunting, I might do that as well and just have like the stick ready to go for either handgun or rifle for that matter, where it's just, you know, you essentially have the bipod there is what it is as like a stabilizing type of deal is what it is. So you can get a better, clearer shot than on something. But yeah, my thinking is it's like, you know, I'm not all about like the biggest deer or the biggest whatever. I just want something to fill the freezer, man. And from what I've heard from a lot of people lately here in the last couple of years, is it's actually the smaller deer that are actually the better eating ones, the ones that are only a couple of years old, because they tend to be more tender and a lot more, how do you say it? A lot more easily able to cook and get the gaminess out of and stuff like that versus the older ones that are, you know, a 6-point buck or like an 8-point buck, a 9-point buck, 10-point buck, 12-point buck, if there is such a thing or whatever the case be, and so forth and so on. I know there was one that was like a 57-point buck or something crazy like that. I saw a picture of it one time that somebody had gotten, but that's again super, super rare. But yeah, if you're talking about like, you know, an 8+ point and like several years old and stuff like that, like those are going to be the ones that have survived long enough to where their meat is going to be a little tougher. It's going to be a little bit more gaming unless you know exactly what you're doing when you're cooking it. You're not going to be enjoying your meals is what it is. And I think that's the problem with so many people as well is like, you know, you can go out there and hunt all you want, but as long as if you don't know exactly what you're doing when you're preparing the thing either, like, you know, it's not going to be good to you. And then you're going to be like, why'd I even go out there and do that? You know, but, you know, thankfully I've met some people and they have recipes and stuff they could give me, and hopefully I'll be able to try some of those in the future then. So, but yeah, that's pretty much where we're at for the day, though. I didn't expect this to go as long as it did. I was only going to do this for about 20 minutes or so, and then it went to like an hour and a half now. But yeah, it's a whole thing. And like I said, I think truthfully, when the grid goes down or whatever the case be, you're going to see a lot of crazy stuff happen in a very, very short amount of time. And unfortunately, when that all goes to shit, or when everything, goes essentially tits up, is what it is, you're going to see a lot of insane stuff happen in a very quick succession, is what it would be. And it's going to be at that point in time in history that a lot of people are not going to know what to do or how to do it. And you're going to see a lot of people finally rise to the occasion and be able to have their skill set finally come into play. And, the thing is, you might be good with like knives or blades or guns or whatever the case be. But if you don't know how to make knives or blades or guns or fix knives or blades or guns, you're going to want somebody who does know how to do that stuff. And it's going to be those people that are going to be in high demand. And, I'd much rather have somebody that can do a forge and know how to do, knife making skills and stuff like that than, some random chick or whatever that doesn't have a damn skill to her fucking name, is what it is, dude. And that's the big thing as well, for me personally. Like, if it comes down to, okay, who's going to eat today? The guy who actually knows how to fucking forge a blade that can help us hunt better tomorrow, or some hot bitch who is just a whiny hoe that has been bitching and moaning and doesn't know how to do a fucking thing, and we've tried to teach her shit for the last 6 months. No, it's going to be the fucking guy that's going to eat, dude, all the time, every single time. Because again, when it's all said and done, third wave feminism and post grid down is out the fucking window, dude. You're going to see a lot of females and a lot of beta males in this country be very fucking humbled very fucking quickly and fall in line to true alphas. Whether it be alpha males, whether it be alpha females, does not matter. You're going to see a lot of people that are going to take on the alpha status, and they're going to become the true leadership in these groups. And you're going to have people that are going to knuckle under their asses and understand that, yeah, you listen to that motherfucker right there, because they know what the fuck they're talking about. And if you don't, you might not survive to see tomorrow. So, yeah, I think we're definitely going to see a lot of that kind of thing. And I think you'd also see some infighting too when it comes to larger groups, where you may have some of the groups split off under somebody else's leadership. And unfortunately, that secondary person might not be the leader you actually want. It might be somebody that doesn't know how to do a damn thing and just wants to sit there and be a marauder type, whereas the original guy actually knew what the fuck they were doing, or gal for that matter. Even, like I said, it doesn't have to be a guy. It could be a girl. That could be your leadership. Or it could be a small group of people for that matter. And it could be that small group that knew better than this one or two individuals that wants to take you off someplace else, is what it is, dude. And who's to say that you're not going to become a meal for that second person then? And that's the thing. I'd much rather be in the safety and security of a thing and know, it's like the devil you know kind of thing, than the devil you don't. And, if, let's go ahead and say, a Negan type is the devil you know, and you're okay with that dude's ruthlessness, versus, some chick named Beth or something like that wants to take you off someplace with a small group of other people and doesn't know a fucking thing about how to do anything, is what it is, dude. And then, you were basically caught out and end up becoming, bait for marauders or whatever it is, dude. Like, you were better off where you were originally entirely. So, and I think that's why, in that case of things, I think that's also why people tend to stay in sort of domestic violence relationships, because I think it's like an average of like 8 to 10 times, whatever it takes a chick or a dude to get out of those things. And it's because of the fact that, you have the domestic partner in that situation, whether it be husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, dating partner, whatever it is, doesn't really matter. That they're like, oh yeah, you can't do any better than me. You're such a piece of shit, et cetera, and just like shit talk these people. But then they'll end up, one time or another being super sweet and like doing whatever for this person, and be like, no, baby, I love you so much, and I never wanted to hurt you or whatever the case be, but you made me hurt you, and it wasn't my fault. It was your fault for not doing things the correct way, kind of crap, whatever the case be. And like that's the thing again, you know, if you pay attention to enough stuff, you've heard it all basically on these various things. And then again, when you have those shows like Fear Thy Neighbor and shit like that, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, dude. Or it's shit like that, the dark web kind of stuff, like those ID series and stuff. And it ends up leading to murder most of the time. So actually there was one good one that they had on there that I wish they'd bring back, which was Fatal Encounters. And it was basically how people led to a point where they had a fatal encounter, whether it be them being the person that does the fatal encounter, or whether it be, them being the victim of somebody that was the person that committed the fatal encounter then. So, and it was really good. It was like, I think an hour show. So it was like 45 minutes or something like that without commercials and shit. And then it was, various stories about, different things that happened throughout history here in the last 20 years or so. And, different things that people had happen to them. Like I know for a fact that one of them was about some crazy ass commie college professor lady, third wave feminist type, that went on like a killing spree or something in some boardroom because they were going to fire her ass. And that's what I'm saying, dude. It's like people like that you never know when they're going to snap, And that's what I fear. I fear like the longer that we go and the worse that the grid down kind of scenario becomes, to where it would be extended periods or whatever, like years long, if not decades long, you're going to have a bunch of people finally just snap, and it's going to be those people that you're going to have to contend with and potentially, deal with accordingly immediately in fatal situations. Because if they're able to survive, dude, like it's not going to be good for you or anybody around you. And that's why you'd have to have those people become, the unintended culling is what it would be then, I guess, is the best way to describe it. I'm not exactly sure how to put it there. But yeah, it would have to be people that have to be killed off is what it would be, dude, no matter what. Because again, they would be the ones going the most psycho is what it is, the very quickest. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that couldn't pull the trigger on these people. And the ones that could are going to be the ones that survive, and the ones that can't are most likely going to be the ones that perish. Unless they happen to be, it's them in front that can't pull the trigger, and it's some dude in the back that, bangs them from the back or whatever, the person in the middle there. And it just happens to be all those people survive together then is what it is then. And then eventually that first set of people, or that first person, whatever it is able to become like the other person, where they are able to take the shot later on when somebody else goes nuts or whatever. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And like I said, I don't know if it's going to happen at all. I hope it doesn't, but I think it will eventually. And, no matter what, all societies fall eventually, just like I mentioned on this channel many, many months ago. When you look at the Roman Empire and stuff like that, dude, people thought they were still living in the Roman Empire, and that was decades after it was already dissolved and shit. So, yeah, it's a whole thing, man. And, America right now, we've had 240 some odd good years, dude. And in reality, we should have lasted basically a century. So the fact that we've had about 2.5 now, we're definitely overdue for something right now. And whether it be, like I said before, balkanization, collapse, revolt, revolution, civil war, whatever, doesn't matter. Something's going to break. The pendulum's going to snap. And when it does, it's going to be bad for everybody. And I think it's going to be the worst for people that, unfortunately are currently sitting in power, because not all of them brought it upon themselves, but there are so many that did. And it'll be all the people across the board that you'll see a lot of violent mobs just go after, dude. By the way, just so we're clear on everything on that one, I do not encourage that behavior. In fact, I condemn that behavior because there is no fucking reason to go that route, dude. But yeah, I think unfortunately there's going to be a lot of good men and women that are going to get caught up in that kind of situation just based on the fact that they were in a political position of power when shit hits the fan is what it is. And you'll have people that are willing to, go violent on them even when they shouldn't be. So anyway, but that being said, that's pretty much where we're at for the day though. And yeah, I'll be back at some point here in the next probably a couple of days. I don't know if I'll be doing a wargaming or if I'll be doing another grandstand or what it is, but we got about 15 hours or so still left on this account now since I've used up like 4 or 5 now. So I don't know how many it's been. It's at least 3 or 4 anyway at this point. But yeah, we probably got like another 16 hours or so here until, next month. And then we also have the other account that has like about 14, 15 hours on it. So I was actually watching that Reginald the Vampire yesterday morning. That show is not good. Like, it's not like, here's the thing. It's not badly written. Like, it actually has a decent storyline so far. But yeah, like some of the acting in it's just garbage is what it is. And I think it's not going to make it till the end of season 1. If it does get a second season, I'd be shocked. And then there's that fucking Chucky series that actually is getting good, I think, now. Unfortunately, there's a lot of, when I said about the woke stuff in that Patriot Nurse video earlier today, there's a lot of that crap going on in there where it's like, dude, nobody fucking cares that like 2 8th graders are, gay for each other is what it is. Like, we don't need to see that fucking shit, Hollywood. Like, nobody needs to see fucking 2 dudes making out on fucking camera, dude. Like, seriously. And it'd be the same exact thing with 2 females or 2 fucking, trans people, whatever the case be, is what it is, dude. Like, nobody wants to see that shit. I don't even want to see straight couples making out in fucking shows like that, dude, honestly. Because there's no reason for it. Like, what does it do for the storyline? Nothing. It adds nothing to the storyline at all. At all. Ever. Any of that shit. And all it does is just further whatever the fuck agenda you're trying to play is what it is. And I'm sick and tired of it, and I think everybody else is too, for that matter. So, but yeah, I think that was the worst part of the whole Chucky series right now, is that whole stupid ass thing. And I have no idea who the fuck brought that in there, if it was one of the writers or if it was the director or who it was, dude. But that person should be fired because it is such an unnecessary storyline. Does nothing to further the actual overall story arc of the whole Chucky character and stuff, or, his plans or whatever it is for these kids now. And just distracts away from the main story is what it is, dude. So, yeah, it is what it is. And actually, interestingly enough, going back to what I was saying with that From series, the one kid that played in From was actually in the second episode, or was in the first episode of the second season of Chucky there, as one of the random actor kids for like a couple minutes is what it was. So that was pretty interesting. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the rest of this season of the show, though. Like I said, the overall storyline is not bad. It's just there are 100% parts of that entire show that you can just fast forward right through because it has nothing to the story is what it is, dude. It's like, yep, skip this. Okay, we're cool. Now we got about a half hour of good shit here. Okay, show's over now. Is what it is. And yeah, and I feel like it's like that for so many other series too, man. And then people wonder like why this shit gets canceled. And it's like, yeah, because nobody needs your fucking GLAAD bullshit, people. And that's the problem I have with GLAAD in general, dude, is like, they're all like, we need 50% representation of the gays, the lesbians, the bisexuals, etc. in Hollywood stuff. And it's like, there's not that many fucking gay people, you dumb motherfuckers. Like, seriously, there's not that many people in society right now, teenagers, 20-somethings, 30-somethings, 40-somethings, 60 or 70-somethings, that are actually part of your fucking community. You are a small percent of the overall human race in the United States right now. And people are sick and tired of your woke shit, dude. And it's as simple as that, really. And like I said, like, I'm personally just sick and tired of it, honestly, dude. So, yeah, needless to say, that's why I kind of would like to see Hollywood just crumble sometimes and just see a new, better Hollywood spring up in its place then. That would be like the Phoenix rising from the ashes kind of thing. And it would be a lot more, mainstream and stuff like that. And you can still have like interestingly odd storylines and stuff like that, or whatever the case be. You just don't need to insert like random agendas, is what it is, dude, to pump up your fucking numbers, is what it ends up being, dude. Because nobody wants to hear that shit. Nobody wants to see that shit, dude. We came here for a serial killer doll, not some random dudes making out, man. Like, that's the entire point. Like, that's the entire point of the whole fucking Child's Play series, dude. Is you watch the fucking show, or you watch the fucking movies or whatever it is, because you're watching it for the killer doll who is trying to kill a bunch of people and see if he gets his. See if they actually win against him, is what it is. Or not. Or if there is going to be a final girl or not in that situation. It's not, oh, let's insert random fucking gay agenda here that doesn't have any fucking place in this at all. And it's just here to basically push woke bullshit again, dude. And yeah, that's why people are sick and tired of it, dude. That's why I'm sick and tired of it happening for a while now. And it's why I will tend to skip a lot of these series because of that shit, dude. And it's actually, when it came to that Chucky series, I actually skipped most of that show the first season. It was about halfway through that I actually started watching it, and then it became good. And I was like, oh, cool. And then I went back and tried to watch the first few episodes, and it was like all this gayness shit in there. And I'm like, there's no need for this. What the fuck? I'm like, there's zero need for any of that, dude. And again, it's literally Hollywood that came out of the fucking woodwork. It's these people like GLAAD and shit like that. They're like, let's push this agenda now. We need representation, even though it doesn't fucking exist. Is what it is. And it's like, dude, it's just dumb. It's just so stupid entirely. I don't know, though. Like I said, I'm just over it. Hopefully, like I said, they'll just stick more to the regular storyline then this rest of the season and not do all the overt bullshit there that's totally unnecessary, is what it is. But anyway. Yeah, and I'm gonna give that Reginald the Vampire series a second try, basically, because the way that they cliffhanger the first episode, I'm like, I kind of want to see what happens now in the second episode, so I'll at least give it the second episode anyway before I would stop watching then. But like I said with that one, it's not, the storyline itself is not bad. It's just, they could tighten it up a little bit, I guess is what I'd say on that one. And to me, it's basically, the way I look at that and the way I look at the new Interview with a Vampire series, they're both kind of on the same level of, okay, get that anti-white racist shit the fuck out of here, and you're way better off, dude. And both of those series have played that, by the way. Both that Reginald the Vampire played it in episode 1, and then the Interview with the Vampire series played it in the first 2 episodes of just like anti-white racism and just like, let's push fucking, agendas to push agendas is what it is. And it's like, there's no reason for that. And then, of course, Interview with the Vampire, they went like full gay is what it was in the first episode. And I'm just like, and the funny thing about that series was, with that first episode, so it went from like, okay, this is okay, it's not bad or whatever, to, okay, now they're just pushing racist bullshit that's anti-white, to, okay, now there's a bunch of gay shit going on for no reason other than to be gay. And I'm just like, and this is the first 40 minutes of the show, by the way, and I'm just like, really, dude? Like that? What the fuck? But yeah. It was weird. It's just weird. It's just really, really, really weird. And again, it's one of those situations where it's like, why the fuck is this a thing again? Like, why is this a thing? So, like I said, dude, it's people trying to be fucking ass clownery is what I best describe it as, man. So I don't know. Anyway, that's pretty much where we're at for the day, though. And yeah, I think there's definitely going to be some of these shows that are going to get canceled very quickly on just because of that kind of crap. People are just not going to. People want to go more traditionalism again, and they don't want that kind of shit shoved in their faces and down their throats and everything else like that, dude. And they'd much rather put their money where their mouth is when it comes to seeing other stuff is what it is. And it's why you've seen things like all these alternate things like Daily Wire and stuff like that have a good thing on them when it comes to their movies and stuff like that. Like that Run Hide Fight movie was good. I watched that recently. That was actually excellent, dude. I'll tell you what. That girl that was the lead in that, and then she was the lead chick in 1883. I'm trying to think what that girl's name is now. the little blonde chick, dude, that girl is 100% wife material and then some. And I'm not gonna lie, if Hollywood ever wanted to cast like a younger version of Fantastic Four, she would make a fucking fine ass Sue Storm, bro, for real. Like her as young Sue, like if they did like a double cast and it was like her as like young Sue Storm, and then like an Abby Cornish or something as older Sue Storm, that's what I'm talking about, man. That's how I get down. So anyway, and yeah, both of those chicks are over the age of 18, so there you go. And I think actually the younger one's like 22, 23, something like that. God, what is that girl's name? I need to figure out who that girl is now that I'm thinking about that. I'll show a picture whenever I find her picture is what it is, dude. 83. All right, let's see. What is that chick's name? Isabel May. That's who I'm talking about. So, yeah, let me see if I can find a half decent picture of this chick here to flip up. There's a lot of other random weird ones there. So there's like, I'd rather find the one of her that's like actually super good looking. Okay, there's just a bunch of pictures here. So yeah. Where are we at now? Yeah, there's a bunch of pictures of Isabel May right there. I think she looks hottest in this one right here. With her hair kind of whatchakality. Or back in that like pulled back there for that one premiere there. Although, to be fair, like I much prefer my Isabel May with the longer blonde hair there. Actually, I prefer a lot of chicks. They're gonna be a blonde chick and you have like long blonde hair like that where it's like shoulder length and stuff. That's how it should be. And then you can like pull it back into like some kind of a, pony knob thing or whatever on the back there. So, but yeah, she's definitely a hot piece of ass, dude. I'll tell you that much. And like I said, I definitely think that chick can make a young Stu Storm. And then let me go ahead and grab the other pictures up that I'm talking about, that Abby Cornish woman. And then yeah, Abby Cornish would be this chick right here. She was the one that played in what the hell's that movie? Sucker Punch. Back in the day, she was the one lead in that. So, yeah, I could definitely, especially that picture right there from the IMDb thing, I could definitely see this chick being like a decent older Sue Storm and stuff like that. So, and plus it would make sense if you're going to do like a double Fantastic Four thing where it's like, you got young Isabel May as like the younger Sue Storm for like the time period where they got the powers. And then it's set like 15, 20 years in the future or something like that. And you got like Abby Cornish as like the older Sue Storm then. Because age wise, I think they line up actually pretty quick. So, because I want to say, let me go check the all thing for this because it should tell me what. Yeah, Abby Cornish is 40 right now, and Isabel May is. Would be let's see, come on, load up, buddy. Load up. Yeah, Isabel May is 21. She'll be 22 in November. So, yeah, they could easily have that chick be the younger version of Abby Cornish's character in like a Fantastic Four movie or something. So, and I think that'd be pretty cool because my thinking is, and I'm going to go ahead and give Hollywood a fucking script right now for this whole thing, dude, of Fantastic Four. So, Fantastic Four double cast. Isabel May, young Sue Storm, Abby Cornish, older Sue Richards. So you have older Sue Richards, played by Abby Cornish, in the first 5 minutes or so of the movie, who is putting her kids to bed, and this would be Franklin, who is 7, 8 years old, whatever the case be, and then their young daughter Valeria, and she's reading them a bedtime story, and the story at hand happens to be one of the first battles or whatever that they had as a Fantastic Four, and it was basically how they got their powers and stuff like that. And then about 10, 15 minutes into the thing, while she's telling this story, all of a sudden we see a flashback, and again, this could also be a TV series of some kind as well, because it'd probably be better as a TV series, actually, just because you have more time to do things or whatnot. But if we're going to go the movie route, so you'd have like, first 10, 15 minutes her doing that stuff. And then it would be, you would flip back and it would be Isabel May as a young Sue Storm then. And you would have her as part of the Fantastic Four and how the Fantastic Four basically came together, how they went into space, got the powers, etc., and then how they fought, Doom or whoever it was for the first go around and stuff like that. And then, about maybe 4/5 of the way into the movie or TV series or whatever it's going to be, depending here and there, you flip back to the present and it's then, older Sue Richards now, still Invisible Woman, now fighting whoever is it as a villain and stuff like that, dude. And it's the rest of the Fantastic Four fighting, this person or whatever it is then. And then it could basically be, you would do, a sequel series that would be set in the future then, or I should say the present then, with maybe Silver Surfer, maybe Galactus, maybe something else, maybe redo the original movies and stuff like that, Because I think with the Galactus, though, I think that would be a better TV series, though, because you'd have like the Silver Surfer storyline and stuff like that as well in that. And then you could actually have a better overall arc there because it would be, them in the future then fighting, Galactus or Silver Surfer, whatever the case be, and showing how much differently and better they are as a team after, a decade or two of being together as a fighting force, as a Fantastic Four, versus when they just got their powers and were just learning how to use their powers and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I think a double cast would be really interesting. And I think both of those chicks, both Isabel May and Abby Cornish, would be excellent choices for a younger and older version of Sue, respectively. And if nothing else, I think if they wanted to replace Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, Abby Cornish would be, or not Abby Cornish, Isabel May would be an excellent choice to replace Brie Larson as a younger version of Captain Marvel. So, that's just me personally. But really, I prefer my Captain Marvel as Miss Marvel, the real Miss Marvel, Carol Danvers, not that fucking dumb bitch, fucking Islam piece of crap they have there now is what it is, dude. That fucking series was so stupid, by the way. That whole comic that's based on that fucking, I don't even know what that girl's name is offhand. I just know she's like fucking Islamic or whatever. And yeah, it was such a dumbass fucking thing for Marvel to do that, dude. And mind you, this is obviously after the woke fucking Disney buyout and stuff like that, the 2010s and shit. And that's why you're starting to see more stupid shit like that in Marvel now with because obviously they pushed back Blade like, what is it, like 6 months or a year now because of everything that happened there. And the guy that was supposed to be Blade, that was going to be another woke thing there where the guy was like Islamic or whatever in that. And I'm just like, dude, first of all, Blade was never fucking any religion at all, as far as I'm aware. And if he was anything, he's probably Christian. So, as far as I'm aware, though, he wasn't practicing anything, though, in any of those films or TV series or anything like that, dude. He was just a guy who, his mother was bitten by a vampire and he was born early and happened to get some of the vampire fucking traits, is what it was, dude, and became a daywalker. And then he, met Whistler as a teenage boy or whatever it was. And he proceeded to basically teach him how to, keep his urges and his thirst under control. And then you had the dude basically teach him how to hunt, vampires is what it was. So, and that's all really matters, dude. And it's the same thing with Punisher, Punisher's story, Frank Castle, ex-Fed boy who, gets his family killed accidentally because of his work and shit like that, and then proceeds to take revenge for his family's murders and stuff like that. That dude had no powers. All he had was a bunch of guns and other military grade equipment is what it was, dude. And he brought the punishment to the people is what it was, dude. Brought the punishment to the villains that took his family's lives is what it was. For those interested, by the way, when I was doing my comics, I actually created a Punisher in my timeline in the future. And it was actually the daughter of Frank Castle. And then it was going to be, what we were going to do with that was we were trying to make a different storyline overall to where it would eventually be in the future, like another 25, 30 years down the road into another set of comics that would be a spin-off universe, would be Frank Castle's grandson as the Punisher. So, but yeah, it would be interesting. And, like I said, though, it's It'll be interesting to see what happens though when it comes to any of that stuff. And I think John Bernthal, the guy that played Shane in Walking Dead, I think he was a great Punisher in the TV series. I think it was stupid for them to cancel that show, and I think they should on cancel that if they were smart and just bring it back and have him be the Punisher for a couple more seasons in a new series or whatever the case be, whether it be on Disney Plus or whatever the case be there. And the same thing with a few other ones. As far as I could tell, when I was watching Iron Fist, that was just starting to get good when they canceled it on Netflix. And that had the really hot chick in it from Game of Thrones, the one actress that was one of the Sand Snake chicks. She was like the Asian chick, or whatever, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, that actress chick, oof, man. Again, you want to talk about wife material? Good, man. So, okay, I think we've talked enough about things now. I don't want people to know too much about my inner thoughts, is what it is at this point. But nah, seriously though, that girl is fucking mega hot, dude. Like, I forget what her name is offhand, but yeah, she was the one that played in the Game of Thrones. I want to say she had the spear thing, or no, it wasn't the spear. It was the whip. She was the chick with the whip in Game of Thrones, and then she was an Iron Fist, as I forget who the character was supposed to be. It was one of the actual characters from the comics, if I'm not mistaken. I forget exactly what the name was, but yeah, she's a decent actress, and it would have been nice to see that show go a little more. But I think the problem with it was, and from what I watched of it and stuff, whoever was writing it didn't know how to write properly, and so instead of it being a tight ship kind of thing is what it was, to where it just flowed. You definitely had some boring ass spots in there that were just like corporate BS that could have easily been like cut out or like shortened up by like a few minutes a piece or whatever. And it would have been a much more better series, honestly, overall. So, but yeah, it's unfortunate that shows like that don't make it, or if nothing else, something like a Firefly back in the day, which was a great series, didn't have the chance to make it how it should have been. And it was a situation where the ratings is what it is for so many of these places. It's like, oh, the ratings just ain't there. Oh, by the way, just so we're clear on stuff, I started to watch that first Kill show the other day. I know it got canceled already, and I was just watching it just to see, because I know it was like lesbianism, vampire stuff, or whatever, dude. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. I really just wanted to see if it was as woke as I thought it was going to be as what it was, dude. And oh my fucking god, it was way woker than I thought it was going to be. And I totally get why it was canceled now. And like I said, man, when I watched like the very beginning of the first episode, and then I watched the last part of the last episode, and it was like claymation shit. Yeah, there's more stuff in that first or second episode there, and it's them fucking showing these like monster ghoul things or whatever. But they're so fucking bad, dude. Like, I don't know who they got to be the prop shit for that thing or whatever it was, dude. Like, who was doing the actual makeup artistry and stuff, dude. But it's like, you need to fire that motherfucker and go to Greg Nicotero and see if he has any apprentices out there that are a lot better, dude. Because whoever was doing that shit for that show is horrible at what they do, man. Like, it's that bad. And it's basically like one step above putting a fucking Halloween mask on somebody and spray painting some shit over it, is what it is, dude. Like, pretty much. Like, it was like add a little bit of CGI effect, and there you go. Like, it just wasn't good. And like I said, I think the whole storyline that they were trying to go with was just silly ass, is what it was, dude. And it was a stupid storyline to begin with. And again, it was just Hollywood trying to be fucking Hollywood and push more wokeism crap, is what it was, dude. And then they wonder why their wokeism crap gets canceled. And it's like, but this was the best show ever created, according to 10 fucking people. And it's like, yeah, and about 1,000 fucking people say it sucked ass. And that's why it got canceled. They didn't watch it, dude. And it's not that hard to figure out, dude. Again, it's these companies realizing, like, hey, at the end of the day, it's our bottom dollar and we're the ones paying to produce this shit. No, we're not going to produce a fucking ratings failure, is what it is, dude. Fuck all y'all. So I don't blame them, dude, when you're talking about shows that cost, tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to produce and shit like that every season. And it's like, no, why would you waste that much money on something that's going to be a failure, dude? It's just stupid. So, but then again, of course, there is some of the ones out there, like I talked about earlier, that, get canceled too early on, and unfortunately, those are the ones that should get more seasons. Is what it is, like your Fireflies, etc. And yeah, I would like honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing a new version of that become a thing. Like not even the original cast anymore because they're super old now, is what it is, and it would just be weird to bring it back that way. And plus, I think they killed people off with the Serenity movie and stuff like that, so it wouldn't even make sense now. But yeah, if they just recast like a new group of people or whatever, dude, and maybe just like had like have like I would even say like not even like a new cast of people or whatever, but like make it so that it's set in the same universe and maybe have it be like the kids of some of the people. Like that would be interesting. And so that way you could have like cameos of the original cast in it or something like that, or have you have it be like a have it be a straight up continuation series like that the new Quantum Leap is, because that would be interesting. Oh, speaking of which, Quantum Leap, that's actually a decent series. The one woke thing in it is one of the characters, though. It's this weird blonde dude who's I don't know if they were born a chick or not, or if it's just really a feminine guy or whatever it is, dude. But like, yeah, if they cut that dude completely out of the fucking series, that show is 1,000 times better off right now, dude. And if it tanks, it's going to be specifically because of that fucking character, dude, because it's just them pushing all kinds of weird fucking shit in the background and everything else like that. And just like random scenes that don't need to be part of this whole thing is what it is. And it's just like, yeah, get that motherfucker out of there is what it is, bro. Seriously. So, yeah, well, at least in the first episode anyway, that guy was doing some weird shit. And then I think I watched part of the second episode, and I need to catch up on the third one. That was what it is. But yeah, I've heard a lot of people say it's because of that one blonde guy character in that show. So yeah, this one's basically it's set in the same universe. Sam Beckett's character is still apparently in the Matrix, or we're going to call it there, the Leap machine, and it's this Ben guy who's an Asian dude trying to basically had jumped in there or whatever and was trying to go after him or something maybe. I know Scott Bakula is not in the first season of the show. He's already confirmed that. So it would have to be at least 2 seasons long for him to actually make an appearance in the series if they're going to go that route. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, and I've read the third episode and stuff like that, it's a really good, like I said, it's a really good series actually. I enjoyed it quite a bit actually. And I was one of these people that watched the original Quantum Leap back in the whenever the fuck time period it was. Now, granted, it wasn't me watching it as like an actual child because it was back like in the 80s when that was actually made. So it was back in the early 90s when they were doing reruns of it, is when I was catching that as a kid. So, but yeah, I watched a bunch of that show and I liked it. I liked it a lot actually. So, and yeah, this continuation series now that's set in the same universe and it's just, modern time period is what it is actually decent. Now there's a chick that's supposed to be Al's character as the go between what do you call it, vision or whatever it is there. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like I said, really enjoyed the first episode. I thought that was very good. Second episode, it was okay from what I saw of it. And then yeah, this third episode was supposed to be really good. I haven't got a chance to watch that yet. And then the fourth episode is going to be this coming week then. So but yeah, I'm hoping it gets picked up for a second season at least, so they can have Scott Bakula come back into it in the second season or something. That'd be pretty cool. And if nothing else, have him like sort of maybe have the new guy sort of get stuck or whatever in that thing or whatever, but have Sam's character finally get a chance to go home. Then that'd be pretty interesting because that way you'd actually have the ability to sort of bookend it back to the original series and stuff like that. I don't know if they're going to go that route or not, though, is what it is. But yeah, it'd be interesting if that were the case. And it'll be very interesting to see what they do with the rest of the season, though, for this first season, though. And like I said, hopefully it'll get a second season. La Brea. Oh my God, dude, that show is so fucking good. If you have not watched La Brea yet, you need to watch La Brea. The first season was excellent. The second season, I've watched the first episode of the second season. I have not watched the second episode yet because I was not able to get a chance to watch it yet. But yeah, it's so good, man, so good. The only knock I would give La Brea actually is and if you want to say like woke stuff or whatever in it, it would be like the whole, oh, let's have every fucking diversity ever in this fucking series kind of thing and have everybody fucking get screen time that's possible here. With the exception of that, like I said, you can definitely tell like they're just trying to give like everybody possible of like every single race at least a couple minutes on screen every episode, which is fine. It doesn't really hurt the story at all, dude. But like the overall story for that show is it definitely focuses on a smaller band. I look at it kind of like Lost. I could easily see it. Being a what was I gonna say? Yeah, I could easily see it being like a Lost in like 5 or 6 seasons or something like that long or something. So to answer the question in the chat, yes, I did see that Breitbart article about the last 36 months, a million plus guns. I think we talked about that. I don't know did we talk about that on the 2A cast yesterday? I don't remember. I thought I talked about it in one of the grandstands this week, actually. I think I mentioned it in passing as like a 10-second thing or something like that. But yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. It's not surprising. It's not surprising. Like I said, when you look at that, it goes all the way back to, would that be almost 2018, the end of that. So, yeah, it's not that hard to figure out. Like, again, people are going to defend themselves. And like I said, with me becoming a gun owner, back at the end of 2018, it was the midterms. I saw that crazy Cortez wave coming, is what it was, of the blue idiocy that was trying to take over Congress. And I'm like, yeah, these fuckers ain't taking my gun rights away. I'm going to buy them while I still can, kind of thing. And then that's why I became a gun owner mostly. And then, of course, after that, it was, so that would have been November of 2018. So it would have been 10 months later is when the Dayton massacre happened. And that's when I went from, just regular everyday gun owner / 2A supporter person to now I'm an advocate, now I'm an activist, now I'm a constitutionalist. So for a lot of people, it's not like that. For me, it was definitely a jump from one thing to another thing, though. So, but yeah, now that we're over 2 hours into this episode, I am going to go because I do need to do stuff. And like I said, I'm definitely going to not nap for a little bit of time and do what needs to be done right now because I am fucking tired. And I'm not feeling the greatest right now. And I think it's because of the weather changing and my bones are fucking hurting like a bitch right now. So, yeah, before you end up hearing like a thud from my body just dropping on the floor or something, I'm going to go now. So that doesn't happen. Obviously, I'm kidding on that one. Well, kind of. I mean, I am kind of tired, so it would just be probably me falling asleep and just falling over then. But nah, for real though. I think we've talked about enough stuff today, though. So, like I said, I'll be back in a while, probably Monday, Tuesday, somewhere in there, talking about whatever. Then we got 4 weeks from Tuesday or 3 weeks from Tuesday is the midterm elections now. I think it's 4 weeks from Tuesday is midterm elections. So, not a lot of time left right now, man. Not a lot of time left at all. And really hoping that Tim Ryan will still be yanked off the ballot for the U.S. Senate, but I don't think it's going to happen, though, because the fucking Republican Party here is a bunch of pussies is what it is. And even if they control the state legislature, they're not going to do what needs to be done to actually remove this cocksucker, even though the shit he's done are definitely crimes. So, same thing with the motherfuckers in Pennsylvania who never remove Fetterman's bitch ass from the fucking running, even though he's clearly not all there health-wise or anything else for that matter. So, and then you had that douchebag Mandela Barnes in Wisconsin falsely claiming he didn't support abolishing ICE, which he totally does, by the way. And then you got fucking Val Demings in Florida going full anti-gun retard again. And yeah, there's a few others too here and there. Mark Kelly's another one of these people. Yeah, apparently Mark Kelly and Blake Masters had a debate in Arizona the other day, and gun control or guns were never brought up at all, dude. And it's like, how the fuck are you going to have a debate where you're debating about a U.S. Senate seat and you're not going to bring up the Second Amendment at all, dude? Like, that's fucking retarded as fuck. And I blame both the debate moderator for the questions, and I also blame everybody on that stage, starting with Blake Masters and the third guy that's in the fucking race is like a libertarian or independent or whatever it is, dude. And it's like, this is bullshit, dude. Like, somebody should have brought up 2A, no matter what. And then you use that and call that motherfucker Mark Kelly out for his ties to Giffords, dude, and why he should not be allowed to hold a U.S. Senate seat based on that alone is what it is. Not to mention his ties to actually trying to come in a straw purchase like a decade and a half ago. So, anyway, yeah, it's a bunch of shit, dude, entirely. But yeah, hopefully that bitch ass motherfucker Mark Kelly will get his ass beat in the U.S. Senate race there in Arizona, and we'll have a new U.S. senator there. And you'll have that seat flip red. You'll have Ohio stay red. You'll have hopefully Pennsylvania flip red, which again I don't trust Oz at all. But again, if nothing else, like we figure out a way to just do a recall on that motherfucker or something if he becomes an asshole. And then hopefully we can potentially flip a few other seats red is what it is across the board, and at least stop the 50-50 split in the U.S. Senate and have it be, slightly red if nothing else, like 1 or 2 seats red to like 52, 53, something like that maybe. And then for the House, I don't know how that's going to fall, but hopefully it'll be enough for Pelosi to lose the majority, because they only have, I think it's like, I want to say it was like 30-something seats that they had that they needed to lose or something like that. And it was like 24 people had already announced retirement or were running for other offices and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, you only need about 6 more seats to be lost there. And they're just going to lose the majority no matter what it'll be. So, and I think people will definitely vote for good people this time around. And I think you're going to have a lot of America First candidates in these seats when it's all said and done, hopefully. And yeah, when you have that kind of stuff going on, then I think you definitely see America at least be to the point where they would be able to potentially impeach the administration, the farce administration that is Biden's administration right now, all the way down the fucking line, dude. To the point where it'd be like, okay, now we're going to have a president. Like, I think Grassley is the one that's the highest in office right now that could potentially be put in presidential succession. So you could potentially have that old man basically be president for like a year and a half or something until the actual 2024 election then. And then you'd simply have whoever be, 48th basically is what it would be. And then there'd be a big giant asterisk next to 46 is what it would be. That starts with a C and ends with an ER. So, and it's called 2000 Mules, baby. 2000 Mules. And it's as simple as that. So, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you all on the next one.